You should never let your dog lick you, and this is why. Marie and her husband David were on vacation in the Caribbean back in 2019. They were headed back to their hotel room for the night, but had no idea what was about to happen. As Marie swiped her key card into her hotel room, she cut herself. It was the tiniest little paper cut, and she barely even felt it. Marie thought nothing of it, and the next day she flew home to Chicago. When she got to her house, she was immediately covered in kisses from her dog Lucky, who she hadn't seen in 2 weeks. But as she was getting ready for bed that night, she realized there was a dark spot right where her paper cut was. The next morning, Marie couldn't move her legs, and her arms and fingers had literally turned purple. Her husband immediately called an ambulance and she was rushed to the hospital. But you will seriously not believe what happened to her. Before I show you, I found an app where you can erase anything from photos, and I mean literally anything. Press here in my bio if you want to try too. Doctors were forced to amputate Marie's arms and legs. It was from a bacterial infection from her dog's tongue. You should never let your I'm about to show you a disturbing video, and I want to see if you can tell what is wrong with it. So I'm sure a lot of us have already seen this viral video from Jason Statham. It's pretty normal, right? He's just dancing, pointing to where he's from, and having a good time. But there is something deeply wrong with this. That's not Jason. And the fact that this account already has over 3 million followers is so scary. The man in this video isn't Jason. The real Jason's face was edited onto him using a software called deepfake. And this isn't the first time this has happened. A few months ago, someone created a deepfake for Charlie. That's right. That's not even Charlie. The creepiest part is most of the people in the comment section actually believe that it's him. I'm about to show you a disturbing.
Here's what your birthmark actually says about your past life. If you have no birthmark, this means that you died of natural causes in your past life, or you're a new soul. If you have a red birthmark anywhere on your body, this is a sign that you burned to death in your past life. If you have any skin depressions that look like this caused by acne or smallpox, that's where you've actually been wounded in your past life. They're there as a reminder from issues in your past life that you've come to the present to heal. And if you have a spot anywhere on your eye, this is most likely a spear wound from your past life where someone killed you while you were sleeping. If you have a birthmark on your head somewhere, and especially if you can't grow hair through it, you were probably killed by scalping, where someone cuts all the skin and hair around your head before killing you. And if you have a birthmark like this with a dark center and a light ring around it, it's a sign you were hit with a poison arrow in your past life. If the arrow didn't kill you, the poison probably did. Here's what this woman wore a $13 ring for 30 years, but then looks down and realizes she's actually a millionaire. Deborah Cedar was really broke, but she wanted some jewelry. So she went to a flea market in London and saw a rusty old ring. The seller knew it was old, beat up, and probably fake, so he sold it to her for just $13. But one day while Deborah was walking home, a creepy man started following her. He then tried to take the ring from her, but you won't believe what happened next. Before I continue, I found an app where you can erase anything from your photos, and I mean anything. Press here in my bio, but promise me you won't use it for bad. Deborah ended up fighting off the thief and then ran into her house. But a couple weeks later, she started stressing about money and couldn't pay the bills. She thought about that thief that was trying to steal her ring, so she took it in to get it inspected. And it turns out it was actually a real diamond from the 19th century. She was so excited that she put the ring up for auction and it sold for $900,000. This woman wore
A TikToker just created the world's first fish-monkey hybrid, but you will seriously not believe what it looks like. This thing is called the FIJI mermaid and went extinct over 10,000 years ago. Some say it looks exactly like a half-monkey, half-fish hybrid, and a TikToker wanted to see if it was possible to make one. The first thing he did was extract DNA from his pet friend's monkey. Then he got a DNA sample from a fish he bought at Petland. He took them home to his homemade laboratory and fertilized thousands of eggs. Only a few weeks later they hatched, but you will seriously not believe what they look like. Before I tell you, I found an app where you can erase anything from photos, and I mean literally anything. Just press here in my bio, but don't use it for bad. This is what the fish look like. They look completely normal, but they actually have monkey-like teeth. It wasn't what they were expecting, but he still let 100 of these bad boys go into a local lake to repopulate. A TikToker
You should never lick an envelope, and this is why. Cheryl was a 38-year-old woman who worked at a post office in California. Normally, she uses a wet sponge to seal the envelopes, except this time she did something different. She decided to lick every envelope until eventually she cut her tongue. But she didn't think much of it until 1 week later when these weird bumps started forming on her tongue. Eventually, it got so painful that she decided to see the doctor, and the doctor recommended surgery. But when he started cutting into it, you won't believe what they found inside. Before I show you, I found an app that can erase anything from your photos, and I mean anything. Press here in my bio, but promise me you won't use it for bad. When he cut into one of the bumps, a cockroach started crawling out of it. It turns out one of the envelopes had cockroach eggs on it, so when she cut her tongue, the eggs got inside and started growing baby cockroaches. You should never
order DoorDash alone, and this is why. Just a few weeks ago, college student Maria was home alone when she decided to order some DoorDash. Only a few minutes after that, she received this message. It was her DoorDash driver, and apparently he had a question. He asked if she was single, and she told him she had a boyfriend. He then responded he was extremely tired and refused to deliver her order unless she did you-know-what with him. Maria began to panic as she could see he was only minutes away from her house. Right then, she heard a knock at her front door, but before I tell you what happened, I found an app that helps edit your videos so you can get TikTok famous. Press here in my bio if you want to get famous too. She opened the door to find her order there, but was terrified because this guy now had her phone number and address. The next day, she phoned DoorDash and they immediately fired him. But now she'll never know when he'll show up again. You should never. Guys, it's happening again! China literally just reported the first human case of the H10N3 bird flu virus. According to the Chinese government, a 41-year-old man contracted the virus back in April. He was hospitalized for weeks and they didn't state what happened to him. They said he most likely got it from an infected chicken at a wet market, saying the risk of large-scale transmission is extremely low, which is exactly what they said when COVID first started. I'm shook right now. Follow to stay updated. Guys,
this tribe in India is literally known for eating humans. They take pride in their main meal being actual human remains. And not only do they eat it, but they actually use the skulls as cups and the hips as plates. Another weird thing they do is sleep all day and stay up throughout the night. And while praying or meditating, they don't sit on the ground. They actually sit on human corpses. This tribe.
Here's how you can stay safe in crazy real-world situations. If you see this symbol anywhere, but especially if it's around your house, call the cops immediately. Criminals will write this in the snow or paint it on your house or car. The symbol stands for 1F or 1 female, implying that it's easy to break in and possibly steal something. Right here you can see it's literally painted on the back of a car. The 1F is 1 female and the 1B stands for 1 baby. This makes an easy target for a new attack or robbery. And if you see any of these signs on your house or around it, contact the police immediately because it's bad news. Next time you use your card at an ATM, make sure to tug on it to make sure it's not a skimmer. People will put these things over top to steal your information. They're also putting fake keypads on top, so watch out for that. The scariest new wave is people will buy charging blocks with cameras on them so that they can spy on people. There's been tons of people using it to spy on their exes, and they're extremely easy to get, so be careful out there. Here's how you can stay safe.
Here are some people who are having the best day ever. This girl opened a bag of Cheetos and found a giant Cheeto puff. A man dropped his keys on the elevator and just barely missed the crack. This girl went to the grocery store and found a monster banana. This guy dropped his phone in the toilet and somehow it didn't touch the water. A woman found a bag of money on the highway and when she returned it, she received $5,000. This driver was just inches away from getting hit by this piece of metal. And this guy looks like he's having the best day ever in the hot tub. Here are This guy stayed in the quietest room in the world, and you won't believe what happened to him. The London Quiet Room has been known to make people go insane after just 30 minutes. For the first couple minutes he was fine, but after 5 minutes he started hearing his own blood circulation and started feeling nauseous. He started to make up sounds in his right ear, but he wasn't sure if they were real or not. His mind started to do weird things. As you can see from his eyes, he's completely zoned out. After a while, he looked at his watch and he couldn't tell if time was speeding up or slowing down. He started describing noises underground even though the room was completely soundproof. At this point, he started to go insane. You can see him tracking something around the room with his eyes. He could see something moving around the room but had no idea what it was. At the very end, he began to panic as he locked eyes with something. You won't believe this. Follow for part 2.
This guy stayed in the quietest room in the world, but you won't believe what happened to him, part 2. So after an hour, he began losing his mind and seeing things around the room. Now because it's so quiet, his mind is very foggy, and he seriously has no idea what's real and what's not. But at that moment, he felt a cold presence enter the room and locks eyes with something. Before I tell you, I found a way you can erase anything from photos, and I mean literally anything. Just press here in my bio, but please don't use it for bad. Saw something that looked like a nun, and at this point, he's debating quitting. But he's so determined to beat the world's record that he battles through it. Meanwhile, his friends were extremely concerned and decided to end the whole thing and go rescue him. When they entered the room, he was completely out of it and had no idea what was going on. It took him a few days to mentally recover, but he actually ended up breaking the world's record. This guy stayed in the Here are the 3 weirdest Japanese game shows. This show is called the Pantyhose Tug of War. Basically, it's just 2 dudes playing tug of war, but they're wearing a pantyhose on their head, and their winner gets $200,000. But even weirder is this game called Fish the Nose. It's a competition where contestants are forced to shove weird objects up their nose, and whoever gets it the farthest gets a cash prize. This game is called Slippery Stairs. Contestants compete against each other to climb up a set of extremely oily stairs, and at the top is a prize. Here are the 3 weirdest Japanese game shows. Whatever you see first reveals what type of person you are. Take a look at this picture and think about what you saw first. If you saw a car first, it means that freedom and traveling are very important to you, and COVID was most likely not your friend. But if you saw binoculars first, it means you're a more analytical person and you tend to focus on the big picture. You're a visual learner, but sometimes you don't appreciate the little things in life. Next, take a look at this and think about what you saw. If you saw a crocodile first, it means you're a very practical person, but you don't like taking risks. You live more on the cautious side, and you don't leave much room for new experiences. But if you saw the boat first, it means you're unique, creative, and quirky. But you get hung up on the little things, and sometimes you need to step back and appreciate life. Whatever you see Whatever you see first reveals what type of person you are. Okay, I need you to look very carefully at this picture and think about what you saw first. If you saw 2 cats first, it means you're an extremely independent person who doesn't lean on others for advice. No matter what happens in your life, you will always succeed in what you do. However, if you saw a dog in the picture, it means you're kind and sensitive, and family is very important to you. Also, you most likely have a dog. Now look at this picture and again, think about what you saw first. If you saw a fox first, it means you're pretty popular and your friends and family trust you with their life. But if you saw a dolphin first, it means you're pretty timid and shy. You try to avoid arguments and confrontation as you don't really want to deal with that. But people always come to you for advice. Hit the plus for part. On November 11th, 2007, this was caught on film in the Gulf of Mexico. No, this is not some clip from a horror movie. This is actual real footage of a creature called Magna Pila. There have only been 4 confirmed sightings of this creature and very little is known about them. What we do know is they live in the deepest part of the ocean, minimum 4,000 feet deep. However, only infants that are 25 feet long have been caught on camera, and no one actually knows how big they get. Next time you're swimming in the ocean, make sure you keep a lookout. On November